It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And if you haven't visited Clark.com or ClarkDeals.com in a while, I hope you'll take the time to see what our team's been up to. We work so hard to give you information that not only you can trust, but that is actionable, that you can put to work in your life to either make more money or save more money or make better decisions generally. Because so many things about our lives are in the category called the paradox of choice. You know what paradox of choice is? It's where we have so many options. There are so many variables that basically we just keep doing what we're doing because it's too hard to make a decision. What we do is cut through the clutter and help you make decisions that will improve your life or improve your wallet in so many different phases of your life. So check them out. We have great tools, too, that help you make your decisions and be confident about the decisions you make. So I want to talk about QR codes straight ahead and the problems of safety with QR codes. And also recently, I had a weird problem with tolls with a rental car. And I want to tell you how you can generally avoid what happened to me. But right now, let's talk QR codes. QR codes are a magic event. Sometimes they're a bad magic event because QR codes are a pretty simple thing where instead of you having to, on the fly, type in a big, long web address or whatever, or you're just looking for information, you can just take your phone, use the camera, and voila, it takes you to whatever it is. And QR codes became so popular at restaurants in 22 and 23 with the severe labor shortage that restaurants were having. And I talked with great excitement about being at an airport restaurant during a flight delay, and they had like 2 employees on the floor for this huge restaurant, and the QR code eliminated all the problems. I just used my phone on the QR code, brought up the menu, placed my order, and then somebody delivered it, a food runner delivered it, and that was the last time we saw a person. And then when it was time to pay, just went back to the QR code and paid the bill, and we were done. I mean, it was like, wow, this is great. You know, because otherwise I would have missed the flight sitting there waiting because they were so short-staffed. And that's one of the fields that it became in now. But today, I mean, it's so common. You go to a parking lot or a parking deck or structure or garage, whatever you call it in the part of the U.S. you're in, and you go to pay, and so often now, QR code, right? So many places you go to, QR code, QR code, QR code. So criminals are into this now, and they're putting up a fake QR code over the real one. And this happened at a parking lot near where we live, that all these cars got booted. And these people had paid, but they paid a phony baloney who not only took money then, but then had their credit card numbers, and these people had to get new credit cards. So they got booted. They had to pay the money for the boot because the parking lot provider was like, not our problem. Can you believe that? Their sign had a fake QR code on it, and they said it wasn't their problem that these people got booted and had to pay to have the boot removed. That would definitely go in the category of customer no service, wouldn't it? And I mean, the things that are left for us to do are kind of lame. You're supposed to, every news story I've read about this with the fake QR codes says, go up to the sign that you're supposed to scan and see, does it look like it's an attached sticker or does it look like it's the original sign? Really? Really? Seriously. And there are so many ways people are doing this with the phony QR codes. So I'm back to basics. If I'm at a restaurant and they've got a thing on the table and it's a permanent thing, there's no add a sticker on there, then I figure the odds are good. I go ahead and scan it and use it. But if it's a sticker that's been placed there, I don't do it. What do I do then? I type in the whole address. I type in that crazy long address. It may take me 3 times to get everything right on it, but I'm not trusting the QR codes anymore. And what a shame, because it really was a breakthrough thing. How about you see a place with information? To get more information, you scan the QR code. Let's say I'm at a historical place or something like that. If it's part of the actual thing that's there, I will scan it. If it's a sticker that's been attached to it, I don't. And that's about the best I can do. And Christa, you are much more technically adept than I am.
I don't know about that.
Any other things I should be saying about?
Usually, like you said, there'll be a web address underneath it, or you look up the business or the restaurant's name, and you can find the menu on there instead of scanning it. The parking lot, they're having you scan a code because there's an app for that parking lot chain, so you can go to that website and download the app if you need to. So yeah, it's too bad. But a QR code is just basically a shortcut to a website, so you have to take the long way around sometimes. And
so the shortcut no longer is the safe cut.
Yeah, it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Okay. Kim in Virginia wrote in, and she said, my 70-something parents mailed a check to a teen for his graduation. The teen lost their check at a disc golf range in Portland, Oregon. My parents are very wonderful about the security of their My parents are very worried, of course, about the security of their checking account now, and we would like your opinion on what steps they should take. They did do a stop payment on that particular check, but are concerned that their names, address, and checking account number may have landed in dangerous hands. Please help. From a regular listener for over 2 decades, thanks for all that you and your team do. And P.S., I've told them to never mail checks if they can help it, but they are old school and overwhelmed by the technology.
Yeah, it is so dangerous mailing a check. I'd say the best thing is that the next time they would see the teen, instead of mailing a check, they give them cash. Gives an incentive for the teen to go see the grandparents, right?
True.
I had to, we had a service call from a business that was very old school, and the only way you can pay them is by check. And they're not even cash. You have to pay by check. So I have a bill pay service that used to be routinely how we paid everything. Okay, how many checks I looked when I sent the check yesterday, how many checks had we sent through the bill pay service in the last 3 months?
I'm going to guess 0.
3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
So we're averaging, I had said recently on the podcast that we were writing like 6 to 8 checks a year. Mm-hmm. So I lied. If you take that as the rate, we're writing now 12 checks a year. We're not even physically writing them. We're sending them electronically. But those, if a business isn't set up to receive payments electronically, which an old school kind of business isn't going to be, then that physical check is going on in the mail. And depending on the bill pay service, they may be putting your key transit numbers at the bottom or not. And so sending checks, every time you are thinking of sending a check, unless you have a great reason to send a check, don't. Now, would somebody take that check and take the information from the bottom and uses a way to print checks and write false ones, it is possible. That's a very, very common crime. And what you have to do is you have to, in addition to stop payment, you got to go get a new account number. Here's where that doesn't help, though. Criminal writes the fake checks on your account. And the checks come in. You're not responsible for them. Depending on the specific circumstances, either the bank they were issued on or the bank that they cleared through, one or the other is responsible. You are not, as long as you report it on a timely basis. And I like it to be less than 30 days. You look at that, you get in there, you dispute that check in writing at a branch, and you're off the hook. Except, let's say you've closed this account. Criminal still duplicates it. They still write the phony checks. The checks make it through the system. A warrant can be sworn out for your arrest for that check, even though no money ever could have gone out of your account. Checks are an antiquated system. They're used very rarely now, but they are extremely hazardous to you to use them. And we have people that are old school that will not change, but they don't change at great risk.
So for her parents, at this point,
I wouldn't close the account because the risk is the same. As long as you're monitoring your accounts, you don't lose the money. May temporarily lose the money, but then you get it back. The real risk is the criminal side, where people get arrested as the victim of a crime because checks were written. Nothing like that ever happens to somebody, even with a credit card. But with checks, it's how it works.
Mindy in Iowa says, help, Clark. I allowed my 401k to be automatically transferred to Ascensus since Vanguard is getting out of that business. I now see they have a D- rating with the BBB. I'm worried that I should have switched to Fidelity instead of letting them transfer me, which I'd never heard of this company before. What does Clark recommend?
So Ascensus does have terrible reviews anywhere you look. The reviews on the Better Business Bureau trend pretty well with reviews that people post about Ascensus elsewhere. I don't know if they got overwhelmed by all the Vanguard accounts for small businesses being transferred to them, that they didn't have the capability to handle them. I don't know what the deal is, but they have not accredited with the Better Business Bureau as far as I know. There are complaints about them everywhere. And the complaints, I mean, you read them, and this is people's hard-earned savings that Ascensus is messing up on. So, yeah, I think that people are going to have to consider voting with their feet and moving their money away from my beloved Vanguard plans and move the money to Fidelity, unless Ascensus suddenly gets religion and gets things fixed and starts providing real service to people instead of what seems to be terrible service. Now, we are in the same situation. Have we had, I'm not aware, have we had problems with the census?
We haven't, but ours was always administered by them. It wasn't in this big influx period. So I don't know. It was always administered by Census through Vanguard.
Well, thank goodness we haven't had the problems.
Yeah.
As I always say, yet. When there are problems with an organization, it's only a matter of when, not if. But so far, knock on plastic, we have not had problems. Thanks for giving me the update.
Michael in Minnesota says, my condo HOA uses an app to collect rent. I'll say, I don't want to say the company name. Without any notification, this app started charging a $3 fee for every one-time ACH payment, so $3 a month, and a one-time $3 fee for those enrolled in autopay. Is this usual or okay? It seems they would be required to notify residents before taking money out of their account.
Makes perfect sense to me, and this is a trend that is not our friend. Condo associations and homeowners associations, when people pay a method that historically had been free, ACH, which is Automated Clearinghouse, that the cost for the recipient is close to, I mean, it's very, very tiny. I mean, it's pennies or dimes. And this has become a trend where the management companies for the homeowners associations or the organizations they're using are now charging money to receive your money. And some of them offer you no method that you can pay without having to pay a fee to pay. Isn't that bizarre?
It really is.
So my thing for you, Michael, they obviously did not respect you. I would go to a monthly board meeting, and during the resident comment period, I would say to the board, you're not happy about this. How did this come about? How was there no notification? And if you don't like the way the board responds, and be respectful and polite, don't go all in like a fever of anger, but just have your say. If you really don't feel respected or heard as a member of that association, why don't you run for the board at the next election? You don't like the way a condo is run? You get in there and you make it resident owner friendly instead of being like this alien creature. This is how people get involved, is something will happen in their neighborhood, in their community. That's how people end up running for city council or something, is they don't like how things are going. In this case, the condominium association is a new form of local government. They're not doing what they should to be respectful in serving the members. Why don't you run the place? That's several steps down the road, though, I know. Coming up ahead, I want to talk about something that renting a car, thank goodness, has gotten cheaper again, because cost of renting a vehicle had gone crazy high for a couple of years. Now those rates have come back down. So the rental car companies have come up with a new way to eat up your wallet. And I'm going to tell you what you got to be on the lookout for. A few years ago, I told a story on the podcast about having a rental car that I picked up in Richmond, Virginia. And I was going to an event in the Tidewater area. If you know the Mid-Atlantic, it's where there's so many naval facilities, Newport News, Norfolk. I was going to Norfolk for an event, and I came upon a toll bridge I wasn't aware of because I set my navigation to no tolls, and I still ended up in this toll. Toll was just, I don't remember the amount, it was maybe $1 or something. And then I get a bill from the rental car company for $25 plus the toll for having gone through this automated thing. There was no human you could pay the toll to or anything. You had to just go through. And so this $1 or so toll cost me an extra $25. And this just annoys me so much. And so as we also shared on the podcast, a few years ago, I got a thing from a toll authority in Florida that's a portable toll reader that I bought on Amazon, and then you register for an account with them, and it works in, I think it's 19 states now. So when you go on toll roads, you're good. And it's sold by the Central Florida Expressway Authority. And you just pay what the tolls are. No crazy daily fees from a car rental company or anything like that. Very common, a car rental company will charge you for a weekly rental somewhere around $50 for just charging you for the tolls that happen in your trip. It can be $7 a day. It can be I don't think they go much cheaper than that. It can be a per day fee that could be very high, or for your rental, whatever. Well, the Orlando airport, which has probably the largest number of rental cars in the world, the airport authority was like fed up with all the complaints they were getting about travelers to Central Florida getting ripped off on the rental cars by the rental car companies for tolls. And listen what they did. They set up this thing where you go to a place, you put in something on your phone, and you rent a toll reader, a temporary toll reader like the one I bought, with a deposit that they refund when you return it, and then you don't get any rip-off charges from the car rental company for tolls. Now, another trick of the car rental companies. Let's say you have your own toll reader. They have a toll reader they put in the car, and a lot of times they're a little plastic box. When you get in the car rental, they have it open to read tolls and charge you the daily fee. The second I get in a rental car, I close that plastic box so it is not active and is not working, so I don't get hit with the daily fee or the fees from them for tolls from them. I use my own toll reader. And so know that the toll readers are a solution to a terrible problem, the curse of the car rental companies that are always looking for yet another way to get in your wallet. And don't let them do this. Don't let them take advantage of you. And my rule when I'm in Orlando, which I go to a fair amount for work reasons, is that I set everything for no toll on my GPS. You should see how much longer my road trips take. Oh my, to not pay the tolls, because the tolls are so ever present in Orlando. But I do it just to avoid the tolls. You don't do that, do you? You just pay tolls?
I would, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
Can't stand paying tolls.
I can't, but you also hate traffic.
I hate traffic.
Okay. John in Florida says, I have a question about home printers. I've heard that home printers may have a history of what was copied and or scanned. Is this true?
Yes.
Okay. I have an Epson and want to recycle it. Are there any precautions I should take? When I recycle a computer, I remove the hard drive.
Okay, so with a printer, most printers only have temporary memory of what you've sent. So let's say you send a document and you're going on to do other things, right? And it's only started to print. So the printer temporarily stores those items, and then most of them just purge them once the print job is done. And if there's any printer out there that stores long term, I'm not aware, but this is one of those internet rumors that lives on. But with most printers, there's a really easy way to empty that temporary storage when you do dump a printer. When you go to the settings of the printer, you will see an area for printer history, usually is what most of them will call it, and then you can empty it out. You can clear it out. And I've done this before with a printer, and it takes like no time at all to clear that out. Now, could a forensic computer person go in there to that printer and recapture that memory? I'm not smart enough to tell you.
And you could also do a factory reset. That's an option.
But do you think
if the
that
printer functions?
But
Yeah.
but it's really, really easy to clear that history.
Yeah. Okay. Roger in California says, what is your advice for an upper 50s guy that is being forced out of the business by market circumstances? Can I change jobs at this age? My wife is younger and still working, and we have a bit of retirement savings. Can I switch jobs and retrain at my age? Something like a bookkeeper or IT. Keep up the good work you've been doing. You are awesome.
Well, you are kind, and Roger, it really stinks when someone is in their 50s. I mean, age discrimination really starts around age 45 in corporate America, and especially intensifies past age 55 and into your 60s. And so when push comes to shove, companies look for the older employees to chop the heads off of. And it's just the way it happens in corporate America. Even though it's against the law, it's what happens. So at this point, yes, you've got a lot of runway left in terms of potential years you'd want to work or you need to work. And going through some form of retraining at a technical school or some kind of certificate program makes a lot of sense. You mentioned one thing being a bookkeeper. Accounting firms are desperate for people that can do basic accounting work at the accounting firms because they're having a lot of trouble attracting workers now. And that's a field that with not that much training cycle, you could in fact be marketable for employment. IT, if you are naturally someone who really has a lot of affinity towards computers and you find it very easy, there are a number of certifications you can get that take just a couple of months for you to get the skills to then potentially make yourself marketable. And know that there is opportunity out there. Don't sell yourself short, and don't assume because this company downsized you out that others would not want you. There are a lot of people who need people who have the skill area that they're having trouble finding workers for, and you fill that for them. And I want to hear from you later that you landed on your feet.
Benoit in Georgia says the internet service provider in the apartment complex where I live just raised their fees again. It used to be that I was paying $40 a month for 200 Mbps connection speed, and then they raised it to $50 a month and changed the speed to 300. I asked them if I could change my plan to the 100 Mbps since I don't need the 300 connection, and they said that the new baseline speed is 300. I was okay with that until last week when I was having connection problems for a couple of days. When I called tech support, they told me they were going to send someone to do troubleshooting for free. But when my bill came, I got billed for the visit, plus they raised the price again to $55. I called to check why I was billed for the tech appointment, and they said they could not cover the cost since the problem was with my modem and I needed to replace it, the same modem I'm using now and have never had any trouble with since they came. I want to switch, but it seems like they're the only ones providing service in my complex.
Okay, so gosh, we got to talk this through. This is common in apartment complexes. They have a monopoly internet service provider who is a hardwire provider. And people in apartments have felt stuck. By the way, on that service visit charge, you dispute that again. And your grounds are, here I am, I'm using the actual modem that you said was the problem. It's working just fine. I did not have to replace the modem. It was not the problem. I want the credit. As far as what you do, apartment complexes used to have their tenants over a barrel. If you wanted the internet, you had to use what they had. That's no longer true because now you can use a wireless solution that is available heavily from Verizon Wireless or T-Mobile or the resellers like Metro by T-Mobile and other similar ones that are available. And the speeds you want, since you're not looking for 1 gig service or half a gig service or anything like that, you will be able to find a solution where it works to your advantage. Whoever your cell phone provider is may offer a wireless home internet solution that you can use at the apartment address you're at. And bundled with the cell phone service you already have, you may be able to get a real deal on that. So the apartment dwellers used to have no option, no choice. But now that the internet can travel through thin air, you can potentially be just fine. One other thing, and if you go look at our cell phone guide at clark.com, there are now cell phone plans where you can have unlimited hotspot with unlimited data from your phone. And then you don't even need the home internet thing I'm talking about. You don't need the apartment's internet. your cell phone is your internet service provider as well as your cell phone in that case, at no cost past what you're paying for your monthly bill for your cell phone. So on Clark.com, we have a guide to best hotspot plans and best cell phone plans. And for you, the magic would be one that is one and the same, that is both your cell phone service and as part of it, you have when you're home, unlimited hotspot. And then the apartment complex provider charging you $660 a year, well, that $660 is back in your pocket, where it should be. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. And for you, I want you to know we have so many ways to serve you. On YouTube, on social media, with our websites, Clark.com and ClarkDeals.com, our newsletters. If you live in a market in the country where I'm on TV on the news every night, I serve you that way. And there are radio stations that run my commentaries and morning drive and evening drive. The idea is wherever you want to be reached, we want to be there for you to empower you with knowledge that gives you the ability to have more control over your wallet so you can save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. And we'll see you Thursday.